Yeah.
We'll get there. Yeah, I went talking to remind myself how often. No, you have like 4 air vents in the entire church, maybe 5. So that's part of the problem.
You only have 2 and they're all in the front.
Yeah.
The other ones
The
are
ones in the back are
returns. Yeah.
All right. Yes, my name is Kate. Some of you have met me before. I've been working at the church for quite a while now. Since before COVID. I am the owner and principal architect of a small firm in Georgetown. I've known Kathy for many moons. She helped me when I first started my business. So we're excited. We are now officially moving past what you call schematic design, which is the this is what we want to do. Can we do it? Into what we now call design development. So this is the part where we finalize the plans, get them firmed up so that we can submit things to the city. So that's what we'll be working on for the next couple months. And then as we're waiting for the city to review any changes we're making, we'll be working on all the little details that you might have lots of questions about. So you may not see all the detailing really sorted out today. There's still lots of room for that to shift and move. Shelley is not going to be here remotely in any way, right? Today?
Right.
Okay, great. Well, not great. So I think I'm just walking through the current plans, and then at the end, I go back to slides, and you all can ask questions. And Kathy, Jocelyn, are we planning to make this presentation available for folks? Okay.
We're going to try. We're recording it on the Zoom.
Okay.
Speak loudly.
I'll do my best. And if you can't hear me, let me know.
Slide deck will be available, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy. Yeah, we can send you a PDF. Okay, if you want to advance, that'd be great. Okay, so let's look at. So I'm going to walk you through them, but before we do that, I just want to talk about, as some of you may know, we had a bigger plan in mind years ago that involved, addition and an elevator and all sorts of things. And then after COVID, Shelley and Dustin came back and really said, okay, we know now what's really important to us, and came to us with these goals. So they really want, the #1 goal is to make the worship and social space accessible to all. So that is one of the primary focuses. And when we say worship space, it was very important to them that it wasn't just the space that you currently sit and congregate, but the entire space. So, and then create a sanctuary space that centers on baptism and Eucharist. Create a flexible multi-use sanctuary space for the community. So one of the things that Shelley said is, look, this beautiful space is rarely used. I mean, we use it on Sunday, we use it for a few things during the week, but it has the opportunity to be a gift back to this community that needs a gathering space. And so that's been one of the goals. A prominent space for our beautiful and historic peg organs, so we will show it for that. Dedicated undercross space for good works. Update and improve church house accessibility for us. So what you are looking at, these 2 orange drawings. A plan drawing is like if I cut the roof off and I'm looking down. So the one on the left here is your current church. So you see we're sitting up here. Let's see if I can get my shadow to go there. And then as you come into the church right now, you're coming up these stairs into this narthex, and you see all the pews. And this is the raised area in the chancel. Sacristy is down here. And then I call this the rogate. You might have another word for it. And then there's some storage, bell closet, that kind of thing. This is an emergency egress access that currently you'd have to kind of come through one of these doors, go in and out. So what we are planning, I'm going to just quickly walk you through all of these things, and then we'll zoom in to the detail. So in the church house itself, this kind of angle shaped element here is along the ADA rail, so it will be sloped to allow someone in a wheelchair to go up. There'll be handrails on each side. It's quite long because of the number of stairs up. So we have an area here that's a place to pause. So there will be a flat area here with a recessed space that you can step back and there'll be a spot to sit. So if someone's taking a while to get up and needs to rest, and it would also, I think, be a very nice place to sit and contemplate. And as you come up, you'll then arrive at a landing at the top, which will bring you to the landing where you would come into the church. Another thing to point out, let me spec over here. This is what I think Kathy calls the Hall of Uselessness.
Not my name, but.
Okay, not yours. Okay. We're taking this planter out and we're removing this portion of that. So the column that's right there will still be there and there will be a roof over the top of the house. But what that does, if you look up here, is that it opens up this whole area so that it's more welcoming from the street. So there won't be a big planter right there. And I have some 3D views so you can see that. It also allows us to open up right here. And our hope is to create a level area that will be ADA accessible where you can overlook and experience that courtyard that's so beautiful. With this beautiful tree that's there. So that's some of the exterior moves. Once we get into the church, you'll notice that the seating is quite different. So we are removing the pews, and part of the reason for doing that is to create a flexible space. We will get you lovely, comfortable chairs, but those chairs will be able to be moved out of the way or rearranged for different events. Okay. We're also, you'll see, removing this raised portion in the chancel. So the entire floor will be all wood. You're going to try to match it because right now our carpet very much emphasizes where the pews are. So we're going to make that all wood, very flexible. So if you're teaching a class, having a dance, having a concert, having a meeting, it can be used in many different ways. I'm sure I'm gonna have lots of questions about this. Right now we're showing removing this stair. It's quite steep. It's not code and pretty dangerous. So that will give you a more generous space for greeting, welcoming folks as they come in. These chairs, this furniture, all very flexible. So you can rearrange it as you need. Right now, conceptually, we've been showing a kind of casual gathering space. Someone, when you first arrive, or someone's got a baby that they want to be in the back and away from everything, I can go there. We do have the font shown here. And then the altar has moved to the center. And then there you'll see the organ. And we'll talk a little bit more about all of that. Up in here, we're going to be modifying what is your existing library space and meeting space. Be a larger kitchen that can serve this for after church gatherings. And we are adding an additional 2 stalls, one of which is an ADA accessible stall. Okay, so you won't have to wait for the bathroom stall. Yes.
Sadly, we cannot raise this building half a floor.
Yeah. Yes, so as if you recall, previously we did have like a level area that came across and then there was an elevator, but so now if you're in the church, you'll come back down out and you'll enter in there. And we haven't gone into detail about when you're arriving this way, but we have some ideas about how to make that feel more like an entry. So. Yeah.
Quick question before you move on. When you say church house, which space are you referring to?
I'm referring to the sanctuary.
Okay, because we're sitting in the church house right now.
Okay.
Okay, so updating accessibility for the church or the sanctuary. Yeah. Okay.
I hadn't even realized that. I learn something new all the time with this project.
Okay.
Okay. So we want to go ahead and go forward. So we're going to start and move as we change this in-house call the church house. So you can see on the left the existing kitchen, quite small, your existing library space there, and then the bathroom. And you all may not even know but there's this kind of bumpy exit stair behind, okay? So the main changes will be that, again, this is blown up of what we talked about before. There'll be a door and a toilet, or excuse me, a sink and 2 stalls. Well, this one is an ADA accessible stall. We're opening a large opening. So if you remember, as you're walking down, there's the kitchen, and then there's a big blank space that you have a clock on it right now. We're opening almost a 6-foot opening there that will open up that library into an open kitchen. And that will allow easy flow of lots of people in and out of that space as they serve. The exact layout is in here. So there are some things that will change, move, etc. But the idea is that we would have something a little closer to what you have downstairs. So a 3-compartment sink, dishwasher, prep sink, large refrigerator, double oven, range, whether it's 6-burner or not, we'll talk about, and then work areas. And we're going to have at least a portion of that work area lower, so that someone in a wheelchair can use it, or if someone would like to sit on a chair and do whatever they're doing. Yeah. So right now we're showing that on the back side of the end. And if you recall the library, there's a large window right here that will stay. Okay. Yes.
So the existing restroom, is the existing restroom ADA accessible?
Yeah. Yes, I believe it is.
Okay, so it'll mean we'll have 2 ADA accessible bathrooms. And then second, it looks like you're adding a door to the staircase.
That's actually already there.
That's the networking closet
Okay.
behind the bathroom.
It's confusing. I'm sorry, that should have been labeled or closed, but that is just, it's already there. It may flip actually the other way.
It opens the other way.
Yeah, I'm realizing that it probably got flipped around. So that's just a storage space for you right now.
So it's not something you're not doing anything with the existing restroom. Yeah, which is good.
And the chapel is just beyond what says kitchen.
Yeah, you can see there's a little key diagram for all of these. So we're talking about this little orange spot. There's the chapel. Here's the big stairs. Here's where we are now. So, okay. All right, so we can go forward.
Just a second. Linda, can you hear okay?
Yes.
Okay, she says yes.
Hi, Linda. Hi, Linda. I'm Lisa. Thanks for joining us. Of the inside of that kitchen and what that would feel like. So here you can see we're standing with our back to the window, looking back out to the hallway. As people would walk by, you're kind of seeing the window there that's in the hallway now. Here we're standing in that opening and looking back.
Right there.
Yes, that window right there. And then another one looking in. So you can kind of see it's pretty spacious. There's enough space between that people can move past each other or be standing there. I think we're still sorting through that. Right now in the drawing, you can see that this is shown a little bit lower. I'm thinking we'll have some knee space clear too if someone wants to pull a wheelchair in or sit with a chair. Yep, on the side that we standard counter, like a kitchen. We'll get there. Don't you worry.
Not in the kitchen.
And we're going, that we're gonna set the end. You have to stay all the way through to get that.
There's not a place to like sit in the kitchen and eat right now.
No, there is not
Okay.
gonna be a place to sit in the kitchen. Although there is a fairly wide space there if we wanted to bring a little table, but I was imagining people would come back.
Yeah, or if there's it's really for when the staff eat lunch. But if there's an open counter at the back for, that also works as a little place to sit and eat.
That's a great question. Okay, let's go forward. All right, so we talked through some of this again, but just a recap of all of the changes to the sanctuary itself. So we'll go through this in more detail. Where? Right here, and I'll talk to you all about that in a minute. It's in a different spot than the last time we saw it. And we'll talk a little bit about why that is. So it has acoustic impacts, has structural impact, has financial impact. So this was a later change that y'all haven't seen yet, but yes, again, opened up for the floor is level, the chairs are flexible. Right now, we're showing a different altar table that's up for discussion. It was kind of an architectural thing. It would be great if it was round. And Shelley had this really cool idea about everybody joining together and facing each other as they took communion. So the other day changes you'll see, we're adding a bathroom. So if you're using this space for whatever, you don't have to go into the building or the basement to use the bathroom. So this is an ADA accessible bathroom. These dark areas right here will be cabinet storage built for whatever you need to house it. We are adding we're changing this because currently the door comes in right here. We're adding a door to go up and access the exit, and that's important because that door and that door are required. You have to have doors on the opposite end of a space when you have a space that has as many people as this can. Okay, the changes to the sacristy side, we will be modifying some of these cabinets. That has not been developed yet. We need to work more closely with you all to figure out what's working, what's not. But it'll largely stay similar to how it is now, with the change of this is now a door to nowhere, and it will be a the sacristy space itself will change slightly, only in order to allow someone in a wheelchair if they wanted to go in there. So the cabinets will change. There's a little bit more floor space, and we're changing right now. We're changing this door to make it so that a person in a wheelchair can get in. That would still be locked and alarmed as it is now. Okay. Other changes, you'll see that the marble element that's here at the end has been relocated there, and I'll show you a picture of that. There's a wainscoting on the back of the wall paneling made out of the marble. We're just removing that and relocating it over here, so it'll still be the same otherwise. There. And we have not located those items in here, so that because they're all movable, that's something we can still sort out. It's very flexible. I think it's going to be interesting, but a change. You'll be sitting there, listening, singing, and seeing each other, depending on where you're sitting. So, personally, I love that because I was sitting at the front, but I couldn't see all of your lovely faces. So that was as I was sitting here and thinking about, oh my gosh, this would be very cool if I could sit here and speak. Yes. Yes, we'll get there. So we will get to more detail about what's happening here, but we're going to move forward and zoom in on these other spaces.
Before, are you ready for the next?
Yes.
Okay, I have one question before you do.
Of course.
So that stair next to the organ is also an emergency exit.
It's not required.
Oh, okay.
Don't need, you'll still potentially be able to go through there, but it's not required. We only need 2 exits. And then this one, we thought about just getting rid of this, but this is too close.
Yeah.
To that one, so that because this is not you have to have a certain distance between, so that someone is here wouldn't get blocked if something happened.
Could we remove that exterior stair, which is has been pulling away from the building for the last decade or more?
Yes, if budget allows, we sure can. And
Okay.
it might make
It's worth thinking about anyway.
Definitely. Might make this storage a little bit nicer. So these 2 rooms, we'll talk about those in a minute. But the idea is you have all these movable chairs. There might be times when you don't want to. So I'm hoping we can find some nice staff chairs that. Okay, so let's go ahead. This is the area on the north, where you currently have. So right now, the doors aren't showing, but this is a closet. This is a closet. This is a closet. This is the stair that comes down to Wilson Hall. and then there's a step up and going to that, exit stair, and then there's a step up coming up to the chancel. So what we're proposing to do, this door, yep,
Is that where the bell thing is now?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where the bells were.
so again, we're right here, here's the sanctuary, we're right here. Please do ask these questions, because I'm so used to looking at these drawings. I'm like, this funny little box there's actually a duct.
There's an existing chimney there.
That's coming, a chase that's coming up through there, so those are staying. This is a very beautiful, door, we're meeting that, we did look at, could we make that wider? It's only 30 inches, it's not wide enough for a wheelchair, really. So what will happen now is we'll have another doorway in, so folks can come in this way, use the bathroom, or this way, and that's so that is technically an accessible door now. Okay. And we are also adding a door here and changing the stair, so you'll come in, go up, and out. And then dark, again, our storage areas. Questions? Yes.
So we have currently one bathroom on this floor, and now we'll have three.
You'll have 3 on this floor and 1 in the sanctuary.
So we'll have 2 of the same in the church house here, 4 toilets. So 3 toilets, 3 toilets plus an additional toilet. We're going from 1 toilet to 4 toilets.
Correct.
Does that feel like too many toilets?
No.
And remember too, without we lose the undercroft toilets, of which there were 3 downstairs, and which were not accessible. But there were 3 toilets down under the church that were making up for that were sort of included in, you have this many people, these are where your toilets are, but not anymore.
No, not even including the kids' toilets. Like, the kids' toilets are down.
Yeah. And again, that previous drawing of this space shows 2 in there. If we, for budget reasons or whatever, you all decide we only need 1, it would just look exactly the same as the other bathroom, right? With just 1 single occupancy. So that's, again, a lot of these things, even though we're going into design development and we're gonna permit, some of these smaller things can change as discussions go. Yes.
But one of Shelley's goals, I think, dreams at least, is that in the public space and the public crowds will be, right, number of toilets.
It is, and if we were to actually look at the number of people in that sanctuary space all alone, as if it were a standalone building, 1 toilet is not enough. So one of the things we were really thinking about is you have something going on where you have an intermission or a break, you would need, and everybody goes to use the toilet at once, you would probably need.
And this one provides a toilet on the same level as the church, so that someone doesn't have to negotiate down the stairs in the middle of the service if they need the bathroom.
And then we don't have people wandering the church.
Bingo. So you also don't have to open this building at all. So if you wanted to offer that space for something else, it doesn't compromise the security of the room. Yeah.
Can we, on that fire door, add a crash bar and a lock so that we can actually secure the 2 buildings as separate buildings?
On which fire?
What?
Which
The
one?
at the bottom of the stairs.
Yes, that's okay.
Because that's the big problem is that when you're in the building, you're in the building.
Yes.
You're everywhere. And if we could make it so that, we only unlocked it on Sunday mornings.
Maybe it's right now as an exit,
Okay,
as an emergency exit. So it is not required to stay open while this building.
Okay. But it is a fire door which should stay closed,
Correct.
and it only needs to go this way as a fire
Correct.
door. So if it could have a crash bar and a lock, which it doesn't have right now.
I guess what I'm saying to you, Kathy, is that it is not required for egress. We
Okay.
can lock it and not compromise the safety of it.
Okay.
So if you would like to lock it, you can lock it.
And it should be on that little key card system if it's still in
Yes.
the, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Will we update the chairlift and the staircase?
Probably not. So, I mean, I think, again, I think that's a conversation to have, but the intent, let's go forward, we'll get to that. The intent is that everyone will use this, the way to go through the ramp. out. Yes. Okay, this is the south side of the church. Again, not a whole lot changing here. This door is changing slightly in order to make it wider and to make this, and to make it lower, right? Because right now it's entering in on the top part. And then this door is changing to a sliding door, and we're making this ADA accessible. So not a lot of changes here.
So that sliding door will be on the arm.
Yes. Yes.
So are you getting rid of a lot of storage though, because there's a lot of stuff?
The space, the only real change is right now this counter, I think, is a little deeper, but it may not even be. And then there's cabinets under here that will move so that a person in a wheelchair can turn around. But we will look at the storage. This storage will be updated as well to hopefully make it a little bit more.
Is there more for you, not less?
Yeah, that is the hope, is that there will be more and not less for the intent. One thing to note is that a lot of the existing Bergen infrastructure actually comes up through this closet. And it makes it, and that's gonna go away. So we will gain some storage there, and we're adding some storage over on that side as well. That's a discussion you all can have and let me know what you would like, because this, again, the detail of that doesn't matter.
In fact, it's nice to have a double thing.
It needs to be two. This one,
And now,
this one good is that it's called
Casina.
Casina, thank you. It is where, the flash line goes down to here.
Right.
And that's the existing one is just gonna stay there.
Yeah, most likely we'll relocate it on a different counter, not relocate it, but we'll replace the
Connect.
cabinetry because it's too high.
It goes down to the ground.
That will stay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, guys, before I move forward? Go off track. All right. Head. Yeah. So the primary change that has occurred to this ramp, the came out and verified a number of things and found that we had to shift things at ground and tip because your property line was in a slightly different spot than we had on, so we got it correct. Corrected. The covering to the ramp is now gone, unfortunately. So for budget reasons, we took that roof off. So it is, in some ways, in my opinion, a little nicer because you see the church more clearly without that blocking it. We'll show you a picture of that. But again, I don't know why my doors aren't showing up on this. That's funny. Okay, so the doors are there. Apologize for not showing them. And then, so you would either arrive here, and we're working with the landscape architect to make this a very gracious, entry space, hopefully with some small areas that you might sit, talk. And then there'll be either a sliding gate or a swing gate that will go into this courtyard. So this is elevated at the same level as this right now. We are currently planning, I know these stairs are not fun. We're not currently planning to change those stairs. If there is money that allows that, we will study that. But there'll be a retaining wall that comes around here and a railing so folks can come in and extend into the courtyard. This will all be plants. This will all be plants. This will all be plants. So right now you have a large planter that kind of comes along here. It will still be planted quite a bit. So folks will come up. Here's the area where they can break off and sit. And then they can continue up and into the
I'm
church.
just, I like it goes down.
That is a big question. It goes up and then up. Let's go to the, yes,
Okay, that's the outside the walkway to church. Okay, I want the dark here. Okay, here is the outside of walkway. Coming to the, going to the church.
yes.
Right here. I wonder, I was going to have a door or something. So I mean, so not homeless people,
Oh, I see.
engage at the city.
That's a good question. We can talk about that. It's not planned right now, but it's a good question.
It probably, you're just going to be shooing people off on Sunday morning as we do now. I do have,
Or, you know, a gate.
yeah, but it sort of defeats the purpose of gating the ramp. I mean,
But
But
that was part of why we didn't choose the roof.
Yeah.
That was part of why the decision we made to not put a roof on it was because we thought that might encourage more people to camp out.
To
as well.
camp.
Yeah.
So, but we wanna still have it, yeah, so I, at least as far as we've talked as well, I don't think there will be a door or anything, and I think.
No gate, so homeless people can't go inside the walkway, city.
They might be able to, I mean, it's just gonna be a ramp, you know, it's not like a
Yeah.
room or anything, so. But-
Drawings, I think it might, for the next slide, it might make it clearer what we're doing.
Yeah, because otherwise,
It's
you
just
know,
a 3D view of the ramp.
yeah, they will be sleeping.
that's sort of the U district too.
Here. Yes.
Two
yeah.
questions. I love the elevated courtyard. There's a window
Yes,
in that. Do we have a way, we're dealing with that in some way?
yeah, I mean, right now, the plan is to hold this back, so you'll still get some daylight, so this is a couple feet, but really, that's a storage room right now, so the only thing would be that we're pulling it back so that
Okay.
we can still
Oh.
clean it and still deal with it and there's still. be
And
some-
replace the glass if it's ever necessary. Okay.
Exactly.
And the other question is, there's no water currently to that area. Do we have a thought on running a new water line over there? Or are we going to make a totally, doesn't need any water plantings?
It's a good question. I think we should probably investigate how challenging or expensive it would be to add a spigot. We do not currently have irrigation specifically shown. And again, if costs allow, and that's how you all like want to spend your dollars, we can study that, but it's fine. There will be temporary irrigation as the plans are established, that's, yes.
Just contribute, that public access to water fountains has steadily eroded. Is an attribute of the Roman Empire
Yeah.
to promote circulation of people and animals and people having access to water. So that could be
It's a great idea. We can study that. We'll talk more with, after all of the comments come in, but I love it. Okay. Okay, let's move forward. We might make this a little clearer.
Oh, that's nice.
Okay, so if you have a drawing after this, it's actually got plants sort of shown in it. We are just now hiring a landscape architect, so I don't have the details of the plants yet, but you can see, let's see here. This, I wish this was expanded a little more. I didn't catch this before, so you could see that, but that's okay. So you would come in, that's the gate or entry into the courtyard, it's quite wide. And then you would enter up this ramp. There, we have created a screen element here to mimic the windows, so we're trying to pull back from the existing elements in the church. The brick will be similar to what's happening right here. The front two is gonna be the same. This can be new, right? But we'll work with it so that it works. Here's your existing stairs. You'll come in, rest if you need to, continue. This will be planted behind this will be planted, and behind this. And I think you can see that a little bit here. This is a view from the bottom looking up. This is a view from the middle space looking back. And so here you can see how the roof has been pulled back. There's that funny arch comes across there. that supports that existing roof. So one of those frame arches will still be there. The next slide, is then you can see that. It does, yes.
What's missing there is this totally new. Next door.
Well, we're trying. One thing that you'll notice, there's a kind of cap that's happening on top. This is the detail. This is an existing wall. We'll be studying how to extend that. That cap on top of the wall is pretty important when it's brick because the water gets down in there and then it gets damaged. So we, again, if budget allows, I'd really like to take care of all of that in there so that we can make sure you don't have to point everything. We're not planning for, I mean, we can certainly make a sittable cap along here, so someone can come along and sit if you want that. A lot of times they're kind of slightly sloped like this to allow the water to come off, but again, that's something we can discuss. Okay, so this will move on. Go forward. So I forgot to take it here. This is just a view trying to show you a little bit more what this will feel like. So here's the big tree. We're like looking into the courtyard as if we're up in the heavens. So there you can see there's this wider area to sit. And the fence, what we're studying right now is pulling the fence back into the garden so there can be plants on both sides of it. So just doesn't this one, don't be in here, just softens it a little bit.
But it will still be lockable. Yeah.
All right. So questions about the choir. So we have talked to Henry about this. We've also been working with the Andover organ, who are the folks, organ experts really, who are restoring your beautiful pipe organ. What ended up happening was that previously we had the organ over here. You recall, it was like right about here, and we had like a storage closet. We had moved the University over here. We were losing a lot of storage, but that was the preferred option. And we met with Andover, and they were like, "We're really worried about this acoustically. You're trapping this organ back behind this arch. The sound isn't going to come out." And they said, "Well, your existing organ's back there, so maybe." So they asked us to study a bunch of shifts. And essentially, they really did not want it to be back here. They wanted us to push it we were going to keep it over here, push it as far as we could. And we just looked at it, and it just ended up making the organ really hard to access. We were going to have to lose there's an electrical panel over here. I mean, there were a lot of things that were causing problems. And there wasn't really an easy way to make this side accessible as accessible. So folks, in order to get over here, were always going to have to come around. And one of the things Shelley really wanted was for folks to be able to come this way too, to make that easier as you all were having your service. So we studied looking at putting the organ here, and what we discovered is better acoustically. So really one of the best. I mean, of course they wanted it right here, but we were trying to not make it so dominant. So, and if you put it there, it was blocking that beautiful window, right? So there's no window on this side. So it's not blocking any light. It was the best option acoustically. It's the least costly because we don't have to modify those big, beautiful beams. There's trusses that are supporting your roof to try to slip an organ underneath it, right? So structurally, we have no changes here. This can be a much less expensive remodel. We don't have to move plumbing, which is a lot less expensive. So all in all, and it works really well architecturally, we think. The other thing in talking to Henry is he loved this because it really works well if you're going to have a concert. right? And bring more people in there. Whereas something back here is hard. Because you can't. So, this is what it looks like. This view right here is as if I'm still standing in the children's area right now. You see the pews have been removed. What's not shown here are the lights that hang down. So there is one right here. I was looking at it today. We're gonna have to figure that out. And then we will be working with you all and designing a new lovely element that's hanging right in the center here that has a cross on all the sides. So there will be something really special. That's gonna be hanging. Yes. Yes. Not yet. It's fine. See that. Here, as you look, you can see this is a floor plan of the organ. So this is the organ itself. There. This is all the housing behind it with all the pipes. These are two little closets that will be on either side where we can store music stands, furniture, etc. So the chairs can go into that. And then you'll see these kind of funny things. These are just for access to get in there. The organ.
Thoughts on where the grand piano goes?
No, I haven't figured that out. So that's what you have to work through. As far as the choir goes, I got kind of excited about this as I was sitting. So you could put a choir in any of these spaces. They will have, Henry will have to use a mirror to see you no matter what, because he's facing backwards instead of forward. But how cool would it be to have a choir on all the sides? Like you're surrounded by it. Yes.
3 sentences you just uttered indicate that you drink is like.
Oh, well, I don't know
No.
that. Is that something I'm not aware of?
He's consulting with us on the organ.
What you said will be the same for whoever's playing that organ.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Ah,
Comfortable, stable, because the loneliness exclusively is central feature of every aspect of worship and performance. Number two,
oh, yes, definitely. Yes.
And if we finally purchased the thing that with wheels, which has a name, so you could move it around, then it could go anywhere.
Go anywhere, absolutely. You can even go up in here. if you want.
Yeah, or like under that beautiful window.
Yeah.
And acoustically centered could be fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I am going to show you some pictures of this, marble element. So if you go next. So here you see it here, under this window with the wainscot. Oh, and that's me measuring how tall it is. And this window stops at that point. So, right now I have, this is with it removed. I am not showing anything right there, but that's something we can study if we wanted to replicate a paneling or something to complete that, or it just stays and it's in line with these here. Yeah. So no change to that. We already have it modeled in probably with the cross and everything, but that would stay the same. And then this would just, we remove this back part. Everything else would stay the same, except that we go down to the floor and it sits, and it's just a little lower than your existing wood that wraps around.
And that's right below this window here, right?
Correct.
Correct. So one idea that has been discussed is having candles or some sort of opportunity for you to interact on that as you walk by. We could certainly study that. I think they're just glued possibly to the wall, but I don't know for sure if they're sitting on it until we start to take it apart. I won't know exactly how that's. stays back here. We can- Yeah, that's an interesting idea. So I think again, we just have to spend a little bit more time. Yes,
Discussion. Has there been discussion of that, like in the European cathedrals, we do our Saint Chapel, is that concept?
Yeah.
yeah. So one of the things, I think without going back to the main work, that Kelly in particular was really interested in was Joyce, I'm sure you've heard this lecture or this conversation. She does that everything special and holy is all raised up behind this arch that only the people who are part of the sort of inner circle can be close to. And so Laura, she really prefers that we take everything, put it on each side. So I do really like the idea of there being something special here, because right now, other than that cross, which is of course special, but there's nothing that you really interact with. Whereas the font at one end, the organ, this marble piece. So really making sure that you're surrounded by all of the important aspects.
And it reorients it, but you now have a special, you're now looking at the short transepts, you've got an organ on one side and the marble side chapel is it now on the other side. Yeah.
Yes.
And we finally give up the idea that that's the altar, which it hasn't been for decades now.
Yeah.
But we don't lose it either. It is
Yeah.
still, the historic aspect of it is still here, and it is now a new side chapel.
I think it gives it new life, to be quite honest, that none of us get to touch it or be around it as it is now, and getting to have that marble be actually part of our worship
Yes,
approach
yeah.
would be wonderful.
Yeah, maybe we pulled out and decorated and pray that like we do with the vigil, Easter and the side chapel, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It feels a lot more usable there.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely more accessible. Be right there. What else? Oh, one thing to point out, there are these kind of cantilevered platforms.
Flower boxes.
That flower boxes that have the pipes for the existing organ. At this time, we are showing those removed. It kind of cuts down that space, and if there's no reason for them to be there, I think it'll make it feel more open and airy.
There's also an idea that some of those pipes may be sellable. And none of them will be needed.
No, not at all. In fact, the blower in the downstairs, that big weird closet, is also going to give it away. So, added bonus.
But something needs to provide air to the new organ.
Yeah, it's right in the organ area itself.
Oh.
They can put it inside where the
So.
yes.
Can it be programmed to take the cold air out?
I think it's probably been discussed that, we need to have a conversation with the city as to whether or not we can do it as part of this renovation or not. Right now, any permit that goes in that changes there's a desire to add cooling. And if we take an existing space and add cooling, we are required to bring that building up to energy code. That's not happening. So we either gotta come up with a historic argument compromise. But we will sort it out, just not sure if it's gonna happen at the same time. Yes.
So the ombre stays where
For what?
the ombre, where the consecrated elements are in the back.
It can. It's right over here right now. That's what you're talking about, right? It certainly can. There is no reason that it.
Except that it will be a lot taller.
That is true.
That's true.
It'll be much further.
That is a very good point, Kathy. Yeah, so I think that's a great question, and we haven't talked about that yet. So we can.
There's always a sketch.
The special Jesus stuff.
There's somebody, because as the current organ is falling apart, Henry was able to get back into the pipes, have access to the pipes jerry-rigged together. So,
Yeah, I know, I've been up there, it's super cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
I've been up there.
there'll be access to the
Adventure.
pipes.
The existing pipes will go open. They
But I
have
mean,
not,
they could get to wherever the pipes are gonna be.
The hatch is above the area that will be the fire exit part, I think, behind the bathroom. It might be, we're talking sort of about putting a heat pump up there.
yes,
So that we can separate the two buildings to have their own separate heat
Yes.
systems, because the current one trying to do both is inadequate. But,
that's what I was talking about,
Yeah.
is that's in the works, but we're not sure if it'll happen at the exact time. Or it will come in.
but there will become a lot of second story potential storage space on both sides. If we could figure out a way to access it. The hatch for the side to the south is in the inner sacristy.
Yes, and right now it's really a bit challenging to get up there, you have to get on a ladder and push yourself up, so we will talk about whether or not we use sort of pull down ladder or something, if that's desirable, that's not a huge cost. But yes, your question's a good one, we could go back and look at it, we can certainly do that in a minute, but there are access doors to the Oregon for pipe, tuning. Yes.
I just wanted to make the point that taking out a new organ built in 1874, historic, but is it going to be maintained and cared for to make its life potentially centuries long and to the next level? So these questions. Yeah.
It should actually be easier to care for than the current organ.
The current organ is. And it's hard to take care of. Yes.
But the new organ should simply require periodic tuning. And probably not a lot more than that.
At least for decades.
Yeah.
If you go forward, you will see some more views, so. Yeah, this one, so this is all new. So here's your existing door that goes into that swimming room. We're studying putting doors in here that mimic some of the detailing that you already have. So you would be able to go in there, that can be storage, it's also a way to access all the back working parts of the organ. And yes, we're working closely with Andover to figure out the construction of these walls, what's required acoustically, to make it sound great and done right, yes.
The Seattle Public Library had just closed the northeast branch for about 2 months to install heat pumps. And maybe the city is going to become more savvy about the importance of ventilation, make this place a sanctuary, high temperature.
Yeah, I think that we just need to talk to them. I have optimism that it's fine. It's just the way the code is currently written. And I don't recall the sanctuary is not on the historic registry currently, correct? Okay.
Churches tend to avoid the register.
And for good reason.
Yeah.
But if a building is seen as historic, there are options. So we just need to go in and make that.
On the other side, there's the altar move. And then there's the door that already exists, then go along where the organ is now, there's 2 doors there. What, explain, how do they relate to what you've already shown?
The one in the back is the door to the exit stair. And this one is the door that you can enter to go to the bathroom. Okay, and you can enter either of these 2 doors to get to the bathroom. The existing one's too narrow and there's no way to make it wider. Plus then it wouldn't match the one on the other side. So we just left those, we added new ones to make it wider. You'll notice too, we did not go in and put, these are too low to allow this detail above that door back there. So we've just left them very simple for now, kind of let them go away. They'll still match the panel doors that you have in there.
My recollection is that there's light fixtures on this. they're not there.
No, we don't have any of the lighting shown at this time, so again, that's something we'll be developing and still needs love.
And we all recognize that with the new building next door, it's a lot darker, even in the dark of winter, in that building, in that space. So hopefully there's some lighting
Yes,
improvements
we have
coming our
some
way.
money in the budget, both to revamp the existing fixtures to make them more energy efficient and to add some lighting in the sanctuary, so we'll be studying them. Okay, all right, let's move, there's a few more views just to give you an idea of how that feels. Oh, you've seen this one already. So then you see these two doors on either side. We're wrapping that wood wainscot. And this is kind of a placeholder. We're going to create a detail that looks, it works with the existing truss. And this will be a wood element that comes across, give a cab to that wall. We decided not to bring it all the way up to the ceiling because it looks really great. And I know there's some beams missing. Don't yell at me.
As long as it still stands up, we're good.
that's a keep mouth. Okay, we can go forward. Yes, exactly. So again, there's those two doors that the question was asked, where your existing marble is, where the new location of the marble. This door would go to that stairwell, probably rarely used. This door back to the area right next to the new bathroom. And these panels, not modeled as they will be built by Andover folks to match the organ. So this whole piece will read as the organ, and then this will be wall. Go forward, and there might be one more. Are we done?
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, and that's it.
Just a comment I'm gonna make. I'm not sensing any hesitation from people, but in our investor meeting, we were talking about the placement of the organ, and some people were having some feelings about the organ being very prominent, right? But I wanted to make the point that, like, our congregation, first of all, loves music. This is a singing congregation, this is a musical congregation. And my whole thing was that that's where I wanted the organ the first time around. So the other placement of the organ, I was like, sure, we can get a historical organ and we can cram it in the back of the church, you know, with our beautiful altar as well. So both of these moving, I'm like, it feels like the way the church should always have looked. I don't know if y'all feel that way looking at these, but that's what I do. Like, and I get to look out and see y'all's faces every week, but not everybody else does. And I love that. I love the idea that we're going to be in around. And also, this is how we get people to come into our church. This organ is going to bring people to our church. That is something that's going to happen, whether it's just UW students, like the fact that we could have a dance where someone comes in and plays covers of pop songs. I've heard organists play Michael Jackson on the organ, and it's hysterical. And we could have a dance, and the organists can all come in and do pop covers. Like, this opens up so many opportunities for us as a congregation and as a facet of this neighborhood, and also as people who are music makers in our community. So I just wanted to say that because I just think, just in case anyone was feeling any hesitancy about it, I feel like this is the anointed place for the organ. So,
And I think also because there is a wall on one side of it, on the east side of it, it is freestanding, it does come out, but it doesn't dominate the space the way it would if it were in the east, where the current altar is now. I think it still feels like it's back in the building a bit.
it feels like the organ's participating in worship where it's placed now, like that the organist is a part of worship with us, not something we're focusing on, or, you know, and so, yeah, like you said, Kathy, it would be very dominant and not on that eastern wall, but on this, it brings it into worship, which, you know, is the intention.
It's still tucked in a little bit.
Henry is helping prepare a brochure on the organ, I just like to.
Take your mask off.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. It is a welcome addition to Seattle's concert spaces landscape, being placed in a highly accessible and welcoming space. The amenities attractive to both performing arts groups and audiences alike. With the right partnerships, it's an ideal instrument to showcase the versatility of a platform outside of the Western classical music genre. From world music to popular genres, a musical evangelist for today and tomorrow.
Yes.
Like that.
So Hampton Spirit is covering.
Yes.
this. Because you probably got it started on getting this order. Yeah.
Yep.
And I know he's not here anymore. Yeah. But he started the process.
Yes,
I think I did it.
yes.
When?
I know, I was realizing I forgot to put the schedule information.
Oh, yeah.
I do apologize, I don't have it emblazoned in my brain, but we, get that information. Dawson, do you remember what we told you? I think the plan was to not start it, it's either going to be started it's gonna be started after Christmas of next year, correct?
The Andover.
Oh, that's right, we're getting Andover, and that's what it is. We're getting Andover in just before Christmas is the goal, or just after. They have a period of time, not just before Christmas, enough before Christmas that we don't jump into their tuning period or just after. So the hope is that we'll start construction in the spring. Thank you, this whole brain forgot.
Spring of what year? I'm sorry.
We're hoping, 2024.
Okay, good, good.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
This is thrilling.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sterling for me too. I love you guys. You all are one of my favorite groups to work with, and this has been a long time coming. So.
Good. We're so grateful for you taking so much.
For the fundraising tax. Realized.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it's probably more realistic that the order won't go in until January.
January, I agree.
Sure, our timeline, you have to really push this.
Yeah, we gotta be pretty tight. Thank you.
January.
January 2025.
Okay. That sounds.
I think your initial, construction might start in July.
You
Oh,
have to
okay.
go in.
Yeah.
That's we last, because we don't wanna drag it by getting dust and
Yeah.
everything else.
So we have to pick all that.
Yes. Yes, that pretty much well good.
This is. Yeah.
I guess that I.
It's a teacher.
Yeah. So. Okay.
Yes.
People with the disability, good there. Are they going to have a better, they're getting go down or up and go down?
There's a ramp at the beginning and that will get them in and out of the, but we are not, at this time, we can talk about it. I don't know how
Oh,
much it
right.
will cost.
Why
Yeah,
do we have to care?
when they have you, don't they? Yeah.
Because today, we have two newcomers, brand new people, I got with something here. But that kind of supporting people that coming down. They are gonna give up there.
Yeah, the idea is that most people.
Is that they would leave the way they came in and that they would be, one of the reasons we extended the ramp rather than switching it back was to gesture towards the entrance of this
Yeah.
space. So folks will come down and will come right in.
Will the entrance still be there?
Yeah, so that's what we're saying, we were saying, that's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they won't really use this for accessing any.
Yeah.
Just,
I mean,
yeah.
we still need a chairlift there. That chairlift is from 2000. And at some point, we may have to replace it, but, it's still gonna be a lift there too, because some people will want to be able to move through the space inside.
Yeah, can I? Just put the wheelchair. Well, sit down and go down.
Like a left, yeah.
There's not enough space.
Okay, so what's gonna happen is, Kate would like to have any feedback that we have, that you have, within 2 weeks,
Within 2 weeks.
to keep on schedule. So, the slides, we can send the slides out, all church email, Kathy?
We'll put it on the website,
Okay.
and we can send an email about it. I will put the recording of the Zoom up there if it actually came out useful. I'm gonna stop recording now, I think. Maybe.
Did Linda have any questions? I think you're the only one on the Zoom, Linda.
She's still there.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm still here. The only question I'd had was robing for the choir and the acolytes.
Yes, so we're looking at the storage areas in both the north, I call them the north chancel and the south chancel. Or the south is the sacristy and the sacristy. So we will be looking at the storage, oh no, I need to go right here. So we'll be looking at these storage elements and reworking them and really working with you all to figure out what stuff needs to be on what side. And one of the reasons we did end up with this, we had different configurations that we were studying, was thinking about if the kiddos are coming in up this way, you know, there is a little bit of more of an area for waiting there. So the same thing if you're having people enter in from backstage, for lack of a better word.
Thank you.
Yes. Hi, Linda.
Hi.
So, any feedback, either send to the office or to me, and, we'll get it to.
Yes.
Okay.
No,